How to trademark a name. More coming up in this video. Often people ask me how to trademark a name. Names such as product names or company names can be protected with trademarks. My first advice would be to ask a patent attorney or an attorney at law to help you with protecting the name, because they are highly experienced. But if you want to get a first glimpse of what is needed to protect a name with a trademark, then this video is for you. First of all, you want to compile the most important information needed to protect a name. And this information is basically the sign, so the name by itself, then the goods and services that you want to be protected. For example, Apple is protected for computers, or Levi's is protected for jeans or clothing. So you need to specify what you want your trademark to protect, what kinds of goods and services. And then, of course, you need the owner of the trademark, the information. Let's start with an example. Imagine you have a dance studio and you want to open it under the name of Marimba. Then you need the following information. First of all, the sign, which is Marimba. Then you need the goods and services that you want to protect. So, for example, the dance instructions or dance lessons are all in class 41. Or if you also want to have, let's say, you have a bar inside your dance studio, then it would be in class 43. All, as you can see, all goods and services that are existent are grouped into classes, 45 classes. So there's a class, for example, for software and apps, like class 9, or there's class 16 for all printed matter, or there's all different kinds of classes. So 41 is important for you if you want to open a dance studio. Then 43 maybe for serving drinks or snacks or something. If you want to basically tell other bars and restaurants not to use Marimba, then you need protection in 43. And if you want to do some retail in your dance studio, let's say you want to sell shoes or clothing, and you want basically a shop or an e-commerce site under the name Marimba selling all these things, then you want to protect your trademark also in class 35 with all the retail services. So then you could tell other competitors not to use Marimba as a name for a shop for these kinds of goods. So you get an idea. You can look through all these classes and see if there is if there are relevant goods and services in these classes for you. For example, if you want to protect your trademark for an app or for software, then you need protection in class 9. Then as the last piece of important information, you need the name of the applicant. That sounds very simple, and typically it is. So you just need the company name and the company address. But sometimes it's complicated because in my experience, a lot of company owners, in their signature of their emails, they write the company name in a different way as it is in the company register. Please use the writing as it is in the company register to make it easier later to enforce your trademark. The information has to be really correct, so the correct street, the correct place, the correct company name, everything. And one other thing where it can get complicated is if you don't have a registered company and you want to register the trademark in your own name, basically in your private person's name, then you need your private address. A lot of people use the company address, basically their office location, but that will likely, at least in Germany, not be enforceable because that person doesn't exist at the, for legal purposes, doesn't exist at the office location, but rather at the private address location. So that's one thing to consider. One other thing that you have to consider is that there can be earlier similar trademarks. So for example, if you want to register a trademark PMW for cars, And you go ahead and file the trademark. Typically the trademark office, except for example the USPTO, most offices, they don't really search for earlier similar trademarks, so it will be registered and you start producing cars under the name of BMW, and 3 years later BMW tells you to stop, and then you come to me and I say, okay, it's very close, better maybe stop. So then you have to not only stop using the trademark, but also you have to probably pay damages, and that can be, for example, the revenue that you, the profit that you made of the cars, or a reasonable license fee, and then you also have to pay the attorney fees and so on. So it can be really difficult if you don't really make sure that your name is free to use. So before you file for a trademark or use a name for a product or a company, you should, you don't have to, but you should look whether there are similar earlier trademarks. And if you want to get a good overview how to do that for free basically, you can look at one of my other videos where I explain how to search for similar earlier trademarks. Of course, that search cannot be, I cannot be held liable for that search. If you want an opinion from an attorney or from a patent attorney where that attorney is liable for, then of course you have to ask me or my colleagues to conduct that search, and whatever I tell you, of course, I'm liable for. So, but if you want to do the search by yourself, feel free. I made a video and I link in the, there is a link in the show notes for that video where I explain in great detail how to conduct a search for similar earlier trademarks. So once you made sure that there is no conflicting earlier trademark, then you can actually file the trademark. And typically in past times you had to print out a form, fill the form in, and then send it to the patent or trademark office. Or fax it or something like this. But nowadays most patent and trademark offices offer web filing, or at least electronic filing. So you can just go to the website of for example, a German patent and trademark office or the USPTO or EU IPO or other offices, and then you can basically, you typically easily find a place where you can file the trademark online. And at that form, you will see that at the filing form, you will see that you have to fill in these 3 pieces of information. That is at least the most important pieces of information: the sign, the goods and services, and the applicant. And then, of course, you have to pay. And most offices, they accept credit cards, but for example, the German Patent and Trademark Office just accepts wiring for typical, like if you use the web form. Of course, we as a patent law firm, and we also handle about 4,500 trademarks. We have an electronic program on our computers and an electronic certificate where we can file directly and electronically. So, and we can pay directly. We have an account with the office, and that's a little bit more convenient. But if you want to do that yourself, you can go ahead and use the web form. Most offices offer that. As it was true with the search, of course, there is no attorney to be liable for anything you do by yourself. But so if you want to be more safe, on the safe side, maybe you should ask a patent attorney or an attorney at law that is experienced in trademarks to do the filing for you. Then once you file the trademark, the procedure is a little different from office to office, but in general the office typically examines the trademark for formal deficiencies. So if you made any formal mistakes, let's say you forgot to fill out the form completely, or you filled it out in the wrong way, then typically you get office action asking for fixing the problem. And also the offices, they will examine the trademark for descriptiveness, basically. So You can get a trademark Apple for computers because Apple is not descriptive for computers, but what you can't get is a trademark Apple for fruits because Apple is a fruit and that would be descriptive and that cannot be monopolized basically. So you cannot really own the name Apple for fruits because then no one could use Apple for fruits. So the trademark office will examine all incoming trademarks for absolute grounds, that means descriptiveness basically. And once your trademark is registered, you can basically, first of all, that's the main purpose of the trademark, ask your competitors not to use that sign for the protected goods and services. And also you can license out the trademark. So for example, if you have a trademark marimba for dance studios, then you can, and you are only located in a certain city and you want, and other dance studios in other cities want to use the name, then you can allow that for a certain license fee, and then you can make a license agreement and then you can earn money with that. So that's another way to monetize your trademark. So I hope this video was helpful. If you like this video and you're new to the channel and you want to learn more about patents, trademarks and designs in the future, subscribe to my channel. If you like the video, of course, hit like at the video. If you have questions or comments, please post your questions and comments below this video. And most importantly, protect your intellectual property and go make it count.